Welcome to the Flannel Rocket, the show with everything you need to know about Michigan's startup scene. I'm your host, Pete Martin, and I'm here to bring you the latest fundraising news, spotlight upcoming events, introduce you to great companies, founders, and VCs, and keep you up to speed on the big headlines in the startup world. Whether you're a founder, investor, or just curious about the innovation happening right here in the Great Lakes State, this show's for you. Let's get going. Welcome to the very first episode of the Flannel Rocket. I'm Pete Martin, I'm a native Michigander, and I spent 12 years outside of Michigan, both as an employee and co-founder of high-growth, venture-backed startups before finally coming back home. And when I did, I was shocked to see the level of activity in Michigan's startup scene that I just didn't know about before. I've since had many hundreds of conversations with founders and VCs and basically anyone and everyone involved with Michigan's startup scene, and I've come to the conclusion that there has never been a better time to be building a high-growth startup in Michigan than right now. This show is a way for me to share the incredible things that I'm learning about Michigan's startup scene and the people that are building here. In it, you can expect to learn about new companies and new VCs and fundraising rounds and just cool data on why it's such a good time to be building in Michigan. For our first episode, we've got a bunch of stuff to cover today. We're going to start with the state of the VC landscape in Michigan. There's a great annual report that just came out. We'll talk about the largest IPO of 2024, some new VCs that you should know about, and some more things that you should know as we get into the week. So let's dive in. First on the list is the Michigan Venture Capital Association's annual report, which just came out over the last week. In it, they say right up top that 2023 saw the most capital raised by a Michigan venture capital firms in the last decade. Right, so in 2023, Michigan-based VCs raised almost a little over $450 million in new funds. So there's a ton of extra money here in Michigan to invest in startups in both in Michigan and around the country. Lots of folks, especially outside the state, when they think of Michigan, they think automotive. They don't think, not even mobility, not the broader term. They think legacy automotive. It's so much more than that. That's what you see in the startup scene. When you look at investment here in Michigan, you see healthcare and life science, you see outdoor recreation, you see software is kind of dominant in Michigan, and heck yeah, you see mobility. And there's a ton going on in mobility here with the reopening of Michigan Central Station and New Lab in Detroit and all the mobility companies that are there. But there's so much investment happening in Michigan across industries, and that's what's so exciting. Is that there's this diversification of Michigan's economy. It's really, really cool. You also see in the report that startups in Michigan are becoming more mature as well, right? So the median age of a startup in Michigan has increased to 5.2 years, which a little while ago it was 3 years. And so Michigan companies are just, founders are more knowledgeable, employees have been here for longer. The companies are just more mature. So when the exit environment, the macro exit environment in the United States kind of turns around, we may have more room for exits here in Michigan. There was also this really cool chart that shows that Michigan's venture investments have grown substantially over time. When you look at, in fact, when you combine this data with Crunchbase, there's a really cool story that shows that since 2018, in North America, venture investment is actually down 9%. And in Michigan, we haven't seen that. We've seen venture investments have gone up to a huge degree. And so North America venture investments since 2018 are down 9%. But in Michigan, venture capital investments since 2018 are up 100%. It is a massive difference between Michigan and what's happening in the rest of the country. And so again, it just shows the momentum that has been here for a while, but it's just stronger now than ever. So really, really cool. One stat that I thought was really interesting was that there's been a lack of exits in Michigan over the last couple of years, because that's been the case broadly too. We've had 0 IPOs in 2023. But that leads us to the next point, which is in 2024, Novi-based Lineage has had so far the largest IPO of the year. They raised a whopping $4.4 billion, valuing the company north of $18 billion. And if you're unfamiliar with Lineage, Here's a bit of history on the company. So they started in late 2008 with a single warehouse, and they've now become the world's largest temperature-controlled warehousing REIT, with over 450 facilities around the world. They're a global leader in cold storage and logistics, and it makes sense that their president and CEO, Greg Limcool, is a logistics grad from Michigan State University, the #1 logistics school in the country. Go green. We've got some new venture capital funds to talk about that have been announced recently. So the first one is 640 Oxford, which is a new $16 million fund, first fund. They invest in pre-seed and seed stages. They're industry agnostic, and they'll write checks $250,000 to $400,000 in great founders. Again, industry agnostic. They're just looking for people that are really, really good. So highly recommend. Check out 640 Oxford if you're looking to raise funds for your company here in Michigan. Another one recently announced is Hidden Capital. This is a $60 million first fund, and there's not too much data on it just yet. In fact, the website, if you go to hidden.co, links to the general partner's Twitter. So you can find out a little bit on Blake Robbins, who's the GP there. But they're a high conviction seed stage fund. Again, that's all I got. I will, more information to share as soon as more information comes out. But a really cool first fund, $60 million just announced here in Michigan. And the third one, a shout out, this was actually announced a little while ago, but it's this year. It's the Michigan Outdoor Innovation Fund, which is a $3 million, very early, so pre-seed investment fund that invests in outdoor recreation in Michigan, which is really cool because outdoor recreation, like Michigan owns outdoor recreation, okay? We did $12.6 billion in outdoor rec in 2022 in Michigan. We invented the freaking snowboard. Like, Michigan owns outdoor recreation. I am super excited to see the investment in that space and how much that's going to grow here. Moving on to some things that you should know this week. Undemo Day. If you're a founder and you're building in Michigan, Undemo Day applications close on Friday, August 2nd. That's this Friday. So that's something that you should be very aware of. Undemo Day is an awesome event put on by the folks at Renaissance Venture Capital to bring VCs from around the country to Michigan to look at and invest in Michigan-based startups. It's literally designed for you, and it's free. And so the applications for that, again, they're open from now until August 2nd. So get in there and apply by Friday if you'd like to meet with a bunch of VCs this October when they have Undemo Day. Another Conquer Accelerator, their Grand Rapids location, those applications are closing on Friday of this week as well. So check out Conquer if you're a startup and you're looking for an accelerator in Michigan. That's a good opportunity for you too. TC New Tech, the quarterly, which relaunched earlier this year, the quarterly event comes back this week. I believe that's a $5,000 prize for the first place winner. So that's going to be a really cool event up in Traverse City. So if you're in northern Michigan and you want to go to a very cool event for startups, check out TC New Tech this week. And then, of course, Founders First Fridays returns this Friday and the first Friday of pretty much every month of the year in cities all across Michigan where high-growth startup founders are getting together with each other just to network, be resources for each other, and help each other go down the path of building great companies here in Michigan. So lots of cool stuff to be aware of, lots of great things happening this week, a couple of application deadlines to be aware of too. Okay, and the very last thing for you is a fun fact about Michigan, okay? So, fun fact, the first female CEO in the United States is from Michigan. Anna Bissell of Bissell, right, like that Bissell, was the first female CEO of a company in the United States, and she grew Bissell into the leading company in its category. Awesome founder, great history, and she's from Michigan, freaking Michigan. That, by the way, I learned that stat from our governor at the Mackinac Policy Conference in May of this year. Her keynote address was all about innovation in Michigan, and she called out Anna Bissell as the first female CEO in the country. Okay, thank you for watching, listening. I hope you learned something new, and I hope it's useful for you. And we'll see you in the next episode of the Flannel Rocket.